Hello everybody. Welcome back to Hollywood Recapped. Today I will be presenting the Australian-French suspense movie Berlin Syndrome, released in 2017. The film opens with Claire showing up in Berlin, Germany, as a youthful female traveler. She strolls, to her convenience, a lodging with bunch bunking rooms, and goes through the evening celebrating. For certain individuals, perhaps at the same time sightseers, on the housetop, she takes photographs of the dawn and in the morning dresses and takes her rucksack with her out touring. She buys some garments, photographs slides, and takes photographs in the road, one of a lady circulating a beautiful sheet out a condo window. She visits a bookshop and checks out a book of craftsmanships. Leaving the shop, she follows out a man and they meet on the trail holding up at a bunch of traffic signals. He drops his things and Claire helps him, after which a discussion sparkles, where he nonchalantly inquires as to why she's traveling solo and offers her a few strawberries. Claire goes with this man, Andi, to see the public nursery where the strawberries develop. They talk and get to know one another, Andi referencing it's a decent spot to entangle life. Claire rectifies him think about existence. Claire disregards a call from her mom. He drives her back to her convenience where they almost kiss. She welcomes him up for a beverage at the bar and he decays. The next day Claire branches out touring again and searching for Andi, who she finds in the same bookshop checking out the book of craftsmanships. They go through the day together. He drives them back to his place, which is extremely calm and barren. His higher-up condo is concealed behind a locked building anteroom, through a little encased patio into the structure block behind. They go through the evening and she discusses the amount she might want to remain, instead of moving on to her next objective, Dusseldorf. Toward the beginning of the day, he leaves for work, educating at a nearby school. One understudy, Franca subtleties a book the class was approached to peruse. Claire gets dressed, gets together day pack, and goes to leave, finding she is secured in the condo. She can't view it as an extra key, and furthermore observes the windows don't open. Trusting this a mishap, she hangs in the loft, making herself a few foods, and trusts that Andi will return. He gets back where Claire clarifies she was unable to leave, and he understands he neglected to leave a key for her, which he finds in his pocket. She tongue-in-cheek recommends, "Did you lock me in?" And he energetically answers, "Yes, sure. However, in the future I'll attach you to the bed," and they have a meat infusion game in the shower. They go out clubbing and she remains a subsequent evening. In the first part of the day when he leaves for work, he calls attention to the vital he's left for her on the dresser. She nonchalantly looks around the condo while preparing herself breakfast and tracks down the book of fine arts from the bookshop. She opens it to her cherished page and finds a photograph of her snoozing, with the word "mine" composed on her shoulder, resting in the pages. Annoyed by this, she moreover understands her accessory with her ring is absent. Her mom had given her the ring to pawn and get back, assuming she causes problems, yet it additionally has wistful worth. She looks through the loft, also starts to freeze, finding the key won't open the entryway. Her cell phone has no assistance. The other inside entryway is additionally locked, and none of the accessible windows open. Feeling at serious risk, presently she attempts to break the window with a seat and tracks down a second, supported board behind. At the point when Andi returns, she's holding up at the entryway and requests to leave, yet he won't let her past. He locks the entryway and faces her with regards to the wrecked window, telling her nonchalantly, assuming she attempts to break the window, he should line them up. Presently understanding the heaviness of the circumstance, she argues for him to release her, yet he excuses her interests and hands her blossoms and inquires as to whether she likes pasta. Disappointed at his madness, she blasts viciously into a fury, attempting to kick and punch him. However, he quells her and binds her to the bed, clarifying that nobody can hear her shouts. The structures are deserted. The camera works out to uncover her shouts are not heard from the road. The next day Andi visits his dad, who inquires as to why he was late. Andi says he met somebody and educates him regarding Claire. His dad gets some information about Natalie, the young lady he has been seeing, and Andi lets him know she got back to Canada. Andi gets back to the condo where he has kept on tying Claire to the bed on a plastic sheet. She is unfastened for a shower as she has peed on herself, and tracks down clusters of long, light hair in the channel, acknowledging there has been somebody here before her. He brings her home, a riddle, and energetically tells her he enlightened his dad concerning her and has messaged her mum that she is all right. Claire undermines that her mum will understand reality. He kept on disregarding her. The following day Andi leaves for work, passing on Claire unfastened and allowed to wander the condo as she can't get away. We see him lock the keys in a lockbox and leave it on a rack in the building hallway. Claire looks through the loft, tracking down a screwdriver under the love seat. At work, Andi is irritated at his instructor cup from the public kitchen. Awkward, the lady purges it and washes it out. He gets back to observe Clare doing the riddle. He helps her, and she makes a move to wound the screwdriver through his hand laying on the tabletop, sticking him to the table. She snatches the keys and escapes down the flight of stairs and across the yard, yet the cumbersome entryway jams, and Andi gets her and smashes her hand in the entryway as she escapes through the front structure, breaking her finger. He completes a past Clare back to the loft. The next day he meets his dad. At the point when he gets back, Clare attempts to bring tranquility back to the threatening circumstance. She keeps on arguing with him and lets him know she misses her mum. However, Andi tells her there's no good reason for missing something you will not get back, and that she has him. All things being equal, Andi continually takes photographs of Clare in odd and upsetting stances, typically stripped. The following day Andi watches the female understudy, Franca, in exercise center class, stimulated. In the meantime, Clare endeavors to pick the entryway locks with a paperclip, snapping one off in the inward entryway, and stresses Andi will find her endeavor. We see that Andi has locked every one of the sharp devices in the lockbox with the key. He proceeds to insult and scare Clare both intellectually and inwardly, moving between warmth, possessiveness, and remorselessness. Andi is washing Clare in the shower when Franca thumps at the entryway. Andi compromises Clare that assuming she says anything, he will kill the young lady. Andi answers the entryway and Franca plays with him, expressing she followed him home. Seeing Clare remaining in a towel in the foyer, Andi tells her she's his sweetheart and is savage to her, so she leaves. Back inside the loft, Clare inquires about the young lady, asking her name, and Andi trims her hair, again capturing her. Later he finds the inward entryway won't open and gets cross with Clare. We see time elapse. It's presently Christmas. Clare is living in dread, yet as Andi proceeds to play with her she starts to disentangle and carry on. Andi at one guide asking her to be typical and gets brutal in his dissatisfaction at her conduct, passing on to remain with his dad. The power in the condo goes out and Clare is stuck for a really long time without power. It's freezing cold and she eats the little food she finds. Andi's dad passes on and is upset. He holds up a couple of days to call the guardian. Staying in his dad's home, Clare observes another young lady's toenail managing under the bed. Clare is calmed when Andi gets back to the condo a couple of days after the fact. Andi knew nothing about the blackout and tells him she thought he wasn't returning. She comforts him about his dad's passing and they keep on having another meat infusion game. Clare starts warming to the circumstance, cleaning, cooking, trying with her appearance, playing music. Andi gives her a book and his dad's canine for Christmas. Clare asks the subtleties of why he picked her, and he clarifies he saw her in the road checking out the lady broadcasting the sheet out the window, disclosing that he had arranged their gathering in the bookshop. Clare gets some information about the past young lady, and we see an unexpected change in his friendship for Clare, irritated at her inquiries. In a little while, he takes her from the loft into a separated woodland. He's conveying a hatchet. While Clare likes being outside, at long last he lifts his hatchet behind her. In any case, a little youngster yells and runs over, interfering with, requesting to help his sibling who has harmed his leg. Shocked at their quality, Andi is diverted, and Clare takes advantage of a lucky break to attempt to alarm the other kid. However, he doesn't get English and is scared by her criticalness. Andi sees and resents Clare. At the point when the mother gathers her kids, Andi drives Clare back to the vehicle and powers her into the boot, getting back to the loft. Andi, presently irritated at Clare's essence and desirous of her relationship with the canine, takes the canine for a walk and doesn't get back with it, expressing it fled. Clare has separated from everyone else again and is devastated. While Andi goes to a New Year's Eve party, Clare breaks into the locked room, observing his camera, a back rub seat, and a photograph collection of Clare in bondage. Clare is additionally viewed as a collection of another young lady, blonde, bound, and manhandled similarly. Andi endeavors to bait another youthful female traveler, igniting discussion and utilizing a similar misphrasing he utilized with Clare. Mistaking mull over life for remunerate life, yet the young lady leaves with her youthful female vacationer, starting discussion and utilizing a similar misphrasing he utilized with Clare. Mistaking ponder life for remunerate life, yet the young lady leaves with her companion. Back in the kitchen, Clare sees a torchlight sparkling from one more loft across the yard and cautions the individual to her misery, shouting and crushing the fixed window sheet. A man arrives at the loft entryway, almost liberating Clare. However, Andi returns, what's more, kills him with a sled. Andi insults Clare that it is her issue the man is dead. Also compels her to help wrap up the body which he consumes in the coal pit in the patio outside. The next day Andi tidies the blood and barricades the windows. Rebuffing Clare, he sees a missing people promotion in the nearby paper with Clare's image and bothered requests that Clare gathers her sacks since he is treating the loft. Clare takes note of understudy exercise manuals on the table that Andi is evaluating. She intentionally consumes her hand. And keeping in mind that Andi gets some cream from the washroom, she buries Franca's exercise manual. The next morning Andi tips out every one of the beverages and takes his and Claire's packs, abandoning Claire in the condo. On the first floor, he stashes Claire's sack in the cellar and switches off the lines, leaving Claire without water. At school, he gives out the exercise manuals and Franca observes a photograph of Claire bound and choked slipped between the pages. Without causing to notice her disclosure, Franca pardons herself for the study hall. Also escapes quickly on her bicycle. The photograph is found on the floor by different understudies and froze. Andi surges back to the condo, stalling out in rush hour gridlock. Andi observes Franca's bicycle outside the front structure and sees where she has broken in through a cellar window. He tracks down the mallet and the lock confine open the yard and a window in the structure block open. The loft entryway is open and Claire is gone. He follows sloppy strides up the flight of stairs and we see him follow them past Claire stowing away in a flight of stairs cabinet. Similarly, as he arrives at the room where Franca is stowing away, Claire calls from first floor, drawing him back into the loft. Whenever he is diverted inside, Claire figures out how to get out and lock the condo entryway with Andi currently caught inside. An influx of euphoric help washes over Claire as she understands she is at long last liberated from the loft and Andi currently arguing for Claire to liberate him from the loft. She shouts in triumph, tossing the keys against the outside of the entryway, provoking Andi. She gathers Franca and has tracked down a pack with her identification and her mom's ring. The last shots are of Andi unwinding in his back rub seat and Claire riding in a vehicle through Berlin, passing vacationers touring, partaking in her opportunity. A debt of gratitude is in order for watching. See you in another movie recap. If it's not too much trouble, like and subscribe, and snap the ringer symbol to get another video update. Have a pleasant day.